YMCA of Indiana County.
Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Encompass More Asset Management is registered as an investment advisor with the SEC and only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration with the SEC does not imply a certain level of skill or training. And the boys are here. Clinton Smith, Galen Bargerstock. It's time for another installment of whatever it is that you guys do.
GCES.
GCES, helping us to understand retirements and retirement savings, setting up your life, not just retirement, but living your life now and saving for the future as well. Guys, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to have you both with us. We were talking with Marshall Criswell in our last segment, as a matter of fact, about setting up for long-term care. That's a part of the financial picture, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of people. Long-term care, I would say, was a little bit more popular a couple years ago. I don't know that we use it as much recently.
Not too much. I mean, originally, I kind of started in long-term care. I was a marketer, so I had to learn long-term care, help agents pick the products that were appropriate. But 2008, when the economy went bad, a lot of the long-term care companies went out of business. So long-term care on its own is kind of thing of the past.
Yeah, and when you say long-term care, you're talking financing for long-term care.
The actual policy standalone for long-term care, correct.
So people are doing it differently now than maybe they were 10 or 15 years ago?
At least I do. I mean, I guide people in the way that they can have long-term care protection with products that they were already going to need. So kind of build it in what already exists.
Yeah, well, that's a great structure, though, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of like the guaranteed income rider that we've talked about before, where you get an annuity, but you want to add this extra bell or this extra whistle onto the annuity. So people that take their money that they've saved their whole life, $200,000, $300,000, $100,000, whatever it is, roll that into a new annuity product, and then that has the rider on it or an add-on extra bell or whistle, for an easier term. And that's where you can add on long-term care. You can also add on the guaranteed income. And that's how you're doing it now, right?
Yeah, between annuities or also life insurance policies are big with long-term care riders as well.
It's interesting, the segments that we have lined up this morning, because after you, gentlemen, coming up at 8:45, we're talking with someone from Fox about how young people are living their lives now and not really paying all that much attention to saving for retirement, because somebody in their 20s isn't thinking about that. But one or two things that they can do financially now really going to help them down the road. That's what you guys are all about.
Yeah. I mean, you would think, I'm 39. We just went to a wedding over the weekend, and all of his cousins and everyone's kids are like juniors in high school now. Yeah. So we came home and we're sitting at Sheets yesterday, and I look over and I'm like, man, we're getting old.
Yeah.
So it happens before you know it. So, you really should start saving before you get into your 30s, because once you hit 30, next thing you know, you're at 40, and then retirement's literally right around the corner.
You're just falling apart, Clint.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Okay. So with that as our foundation here this morning, we move forward. There are terms out there that we don't understand. Generally, folks, as a rule, just don't understand. One of those terms is the word annuity. What is it? What does it do for you? How do you implement it into somebody's financial plan?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about retirement, usually it's coming from an IRA. So an annuity is when an insurance company is holding an IRA, if that's what you're rolling it into. So the insurance company is the one that's insuring your money. That usually they have, like Clinton said, the bells and whistles. You might have a fixed where you're not going to lose anything, fixed index where you're not going to lose anything, but you're playing the index markets. So it just gives the ability for the insurance company to hold the assets and give you guarantees.
Mm-hmm. Annuity is a very general term, just like life insurance. There's so many, there's universal life insurance. There's so many different types of life insurance policies. There's also a ton of different annuity policies. Annuity used to get a bad rap. I want to say the last, 7 or 8 years, it's kind of been turning around. Yeah. But annuities got a bad rap all because of variable annuities, where the rate of return varies, right? Hence variable. So those got a bad rap because a lot of people did lose money on them whenever the economy crashed in 2008 and 2009. They're starting to come back again, but there's also fixed annuities where you're fixed at a certain rate and you're going to get that rate as long as the market is positive, right? We deal with a lot of fixed indexed annuities that will ride with the S&P 500 where, if I'm saying this wrong, correct me, but you can ride the wave up and then it's capped at a certain amount, right? But then you never end up having any losses, where you might not share the market losses, but you're only capped at getting a certain high rate of return.
Yeah, pretty much a cap. It is on all of them, but cap is more on a variable product. Inside a fixed index, it's giving you a percentage of what the market is. So yes, there is a cap, but they pretty much tell you it's a percentage that you're going to get of whatever the index makes.
All right. So when you're involved in that, you write it up, but when it goes back down, you don't have to go with it.
Kind of. So, a lot of them will have steps. So, you ride the market for a couple years and then it locks in and you can't lose from there. A couple more years locks in. Every product's a little bit different. Usually the big picture on all of a fixed index is you're never going to lose the money that you gave them. So no matter what, you're not going to lose how much you invested, where it could. The market, of course, is going to go up and down, but you're not going to take that negative impact with it.
So many different products out there for retirement, and we don't have the expertise as general folks out in the population to know what's good for my situation, what's the best thing for me and my family, and so we rely upon people like you who do know those, because every plan, every different option that you have has its positives, has its negatives.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm assuming that the ones that are riskier have higher positives but lower negatives.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, kind of what I always say. Every single family is different on what I would say you need to do, and it's all based on your risk tolerance. Is a variable annuity better than a fixed annuity? Well, it might be. It depends on what you're willing to lose. Are you willing to take a loss? So it all boils down to a specific individual and what they can handle in the market.
Yeah, and that young guy in the 20s has a whole different outlook than somebody who's in 50s or even the early 60s.
Completely. I mean, they don't even think in their head. They most likely don't have $200,000-$300,000 in their 401k. So they're thinking, oh, I have 13,000-14,000. It's never going to build. So what I find, younger generation, they engage. They don't really want to purchase the products as much as they should on the outside world. Like, since we're talking about long-term care, life insurance. So life insurance is the best vessel for somebody in their 20s that are concerned about the future and want to have long-term care protection, because, that'll help eliminate, the need for survivor benefit later in life to get more money from your pension. There's just so much involved, but 20s, I would say life insurance.
Life insurance is a lot cheaper when you're 20 than when you're 42. So if you buy it when you're 20 and carry it your whole life, you're going to pay a much better rate than if you would just pick something up in your 50s or 60s.
Well, we started this conversation talking about savings for long-term care. Let's finish this morning in that neighborhood again. For that person who was in the 50s, their early 60s, and they're getting the idea that life is not going to get a whole lot easier for me, and there could come the time when I or my spouse will need to have a long-term care facility in our future. We can do things now that can help us down the road when it comes that time, can we not?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the segment before, and, they are talking about changing and making the rules of gifting, even longer and harder for people to accomplish stuff like that in the future. I really think that building it into an annuity is probably the best way to go with long-term care protection. Number one, the area that we live in, long-term care, yeah, it's a need, but we have a lot more families taking care of each other here than in other parts of the country. So I think the what if you might need that, and having it as a rider to give you the ability to have a little bit of protection if you need it, but not have to pay an arm and a leg, for something that you might never use.
Yeah.
We look at it a lot like cancer insurance, disability insurance. There is a chance that you might have to use the disability insurance, but a lot of times people pay for it, never use it. Disability insurance even is a lot of times it's hard for people to actually get the claim to go through. If your doctor looked at your heart 2 years ago and, just checked up on it, that would still be a qualifying event for a pre-existing condition where you're paying for disability insurance. You might not even be eligible to claim anything on it if you've seen the doctor about that. So for it to be a what if and to be paying and putting extra money out is kind of, to us, doesn't seem like the right thing to do when you could build it into an annuity. You still have that what if protection, but you're still also protecting your assets and everything else.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to consider when you think about all of this, and certainly you at GCS are going to help people to figure that out. Once again, Galen, we think about our initial consultation with you and sitting down across the table from you to discuss, where am I now and how can I get to where I want to be? Yeah. And you make that a very easy process.
I make it easy. I mean, it's a conversation because really I need to know what you want for me to tell you what's out there available for you to get. Because, over the years I've just learned so many different avenues and ways to approach a different scenario that I really need to know what you got and what your goals are. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's not as complicated when you look at it that way as we might think. If we try to do it ourselves, it'll be plenty complicated.
I think a lot of times when we sit down with people, they don't even know what they want.
Yeah.
Because they don't even know what they really have. And then once we explain to them, this is what you have right now, like where do you want to go? Like what, and even it goes with lifestyle, health, family. There's so many different variables that go into effect with each family's retirement that people that are trying to do it themselves, you have no experience. Galen has 12 years of experience, or 14. I don't even know. It goes so fast because I'm 39, but he knows all of those different tricks and different things to do to help each different family manipulate the situation and get what they want.
Yeah, and I think in the long term, we think everybody thinks that catastrophe is going to come, and once catastrophe comes, no amount of planning will help me with that. But you're there to ease those concerns as well. So how does somebody do it? What should they be doing right now in order to sit down across from Galen and talk about this, Clinton?
So you can give us a call, 724-915-0000. You can visit us at gces.us online. You can find us on Facebook under GCES, or you can just stop in our office at 1780 Philadelphia Street. Someone's there 9 to 5.
Guys, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.